Welcome to the fifth video on this series on the 7 Hermetic Principles. If you missed the first few videos, I've left a link in the description below, so you can watch the whole playlist there. So the principle of rhythm is perhaps the most recognizable Hermetic principle, as we see its evidence everywhere in nature and in our own lives. This principle teaches that everything flows in and out, rises and falls, and moves in cycles. Nothing remains the same, and everything is in constant motion. Just as the tides rise and fall, so do our experiences, emotions, and circumstances. So let's look at how this principle has been embraced throughout history, is apparent in various cultures, and most importantly, how it can change our lives. So the principle of rhythm states that everything in the universe moves in cycles, and these cycles affect every aspect of life, from the physical to the mental to the spiritual. It shows us that change is inevitable, and everything moves from one extreme to the other in a rhythmic flow. Just as the seasons change from winter to spring, or the cycle of the moon, so do our thoughts, emotions, and experiences shift from one state to another. This rhythmic flow is not random. It follows natural, predictable patterns. Once we recognize that our life operates in cycles, we can begin to anticipate these changes and prepare for them, rather than being caught off guard. The key is not to resist the downswing, but to flow with them, knowing that the upswing is on its way. The principle teaches that everything is in motion, and that the pendulum always swings back. In the context of our emotions and mental states, this principle can help us understand that feelings of sadness or joy, despair or excitement are not permanent. Just as tides rise and fall, our emotional states will shift with time. This understanding allows us to maintain an inner state of equilibrium, knowing that even in our darkest moments, brighter days are ahead. The principle of rhythm appears in various forms across different cultures and religious traditions, each emphasizing the cyclical nature of life and the universe. In Hinduism, the concept of samsara reflects the cyclical nature of life, death, and rebirth. Hindus believe that the soul is trapped in the internal cycle of birth, death, and reincarnation until it achieves liberation. This reflects the Hermetic idea that everything flows in cycles and that life's rhythmic patterns can only be transcended through spiritual understanding. Buddhism also acknowledges the cyclical nature of existence through the concept of samsara, the endless cycle of suffering and rebirth. However, Buddhist believes that by understanding and practicing the Four Noble Truths and the Eightfold Path, individuals can break free of the cycles of suffering and reach nirvana, a state of liberation from these rhythms. In Celtic traditions, the Wheel of the Year is a powerful symbol of the cycle of nature. The wheel represents a continual flow of time through each season, spring, summer, autumn, and winter, and how each season leads to the next in a perpetual cycle. This cyclical understanding of time reflects the Celtic festivals, which marks the transitions between the seasons and honors the rhythmic patterns of nature. In Chinese philosophy, the concept of wuxing, the 5 elements, wood, fire, earth, metal, and water, describes the interaction and transformation between these elements. Each element represents a different phase of energy, and the cycle illustrates the natural flow of life in the universe. This idea of cyclical change mirrors the principle of rhythm, as it shows how all things are in a constant state of motion and transformation. Throughout history, we can see the principle of rhythm demonstrated in both societal and natural events, as well as the action and philosophies of influential figures. The rise and fall of empires is a classic example of rhythm in history. Take the Roman Empire, for example. At its height, Rome was the most powerful empire in the world. But like all great powers, it eventually declined. The Roman Empire's fall was not an isolated event. It followed the natural rhythm of the rise and fall of all civilizations. This same pattern can be observed in the rise and fall of other empires throughout history, from ancient Egypt to the British Empire. Economical cycles also reflect the principle of rhythm. Financial markets are known for their boom and bust, with periods of economic prosperity followed by recession or depression. The Great Depression of the 1930s, for example, was followed by a period of rapid economic growth in the post-World War II era. Understanding these cycles allows economists and investors to anticipate market trends and make more informed decisions. In the world of art and culture, the Renaissance served as an example of the upswing of cultural rhythm. Following the Dark Ages, Europe experienced a period of tremendous artistic and intellectual growth, fueled by a renewed interest in classical knowledge and humanism. This cyclical resurgence in creativity and enlightenment is a testament to the rhythmic nature of human civilization. Even in sport, we see the principle of rhythm at play. Take the career of a successful athlete like Michael Jordan. Jordan experienced ups and downs throughout his career. There are moments of triumph, such as winning multiple NBA championships, moments of challenge, such as a brief retirement and attempts to play baseball. However, his career as a whole exemplifies the rhythm of success and struggle, with each setback followed by a greater achievement. So the principle of rhythm is crucial when it comes to manifestation, because it helps us understand that everything flows in cycles and that change is constant. By recognizing these rhythms, we can work with them rather than against them to bring our desires to reality. One way to apply this principle is embracing the cycles of energy in your own life. There will be times when you feel highly motivated and creative, and other times when you'll feel more introspective or even discouraged. Instead of fighting these natural shifts, recognize they're part of the rhythm of life. Use the periods of high energy to take action towards your goals, and use the quieter times for reflection and recharging. Another practical application is to time your manifestations with the natural cycles such as the lunar phase. Many people use the new moon as a time to set intentions, and the full moon as a time to release what no longer serves them. By aligning your manifestation practices with the natural cycles of the moon, you can enhance your ability to bring your desires to reality. The principle of rhythm also teaches us the importance of persistence. Just because you face setbacks or challenges doesn't mean that you're off track. Understanding that life moves in cycles, and even if you're experiencing a downswing, the upswing is on its way. By remaining patient and consistent in your manifestation efforts, you will eventually see the results of your desires. Finally, the principle of rhythm reminds us to stay grounded during both the highs and the lows. When you're riding high, it's important to remain humble and grounded, knowing that the pendulum will eventually swing back. Similarly, when you're facing challenges, remember that they are temporary and brighter days are ahead. By maintaining this perspective, you can remain balanced and resilient, no matter what life throws at you. So for me, the principle of rhythm teaches us that everything follows an ebb and flow, and that nothing stays static. By understanding this principle, we can learn to move with the rhythms of life, rather than resisting them. This principle encourages us to remain patient and persistent in our manifestation efforts, knowing that success and challenges are both part of the same rhythmic cycle. By working with these natural rhythms, we can create a balance and flow in our life and manifest our desires more effectively. I hope you enjoyed this video. As I said at the beginning, I've left a link in the description below, so if you have missed any of the other videos, you can watch the whole playlist there. Thank you so much for your engagement and support. I look forward to seeing you on the next video. Bye for now.